The two Utes.
To what?
Regular.
What? Stuff.
Well, it was a New York attorney about to take a southern journey into places that he'd never been. She was a brunette out of Brooklyn, fast talking and good looking with a body that was made for sin. And she wanted him for marriage, but the torch that she carried was harder than the...
Welcome back to Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. I am Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth, and I share a legal philosophy with Vincent Gambini. We learn as we go. I'm here at Magnum Mills and the Soup Deucer to talk about stuff, including what we've been watching and what we're excited to check out. Our featured review this week is another 1990s classic, My Cousin Vinny. Soup, you know your way around a Southern breakfast. Do you go with the hash browns? Are you getting the grits?
Well, apparently it's either breakfast, lunch, or dinner, man. So if it's breakfast comes with grits down there, so you're getting the fucking grits, dude. I like cheesy grits, though.
No self-respecting Southerner uses instant grits.
That's right.
No, sir, there is no instant grits. And I'm Magnum Mills, and I was going to make a joke about grits, but instead, I just want to bring us in on the right tone. So I've got a limerick for us. Here we go. It obviously has something to do with My Cousin Vinny. Vinny has so much to say. The movie is more than okay. But if I'm honest, and not to be modest, I'm here for Marissa Tomei. And you're here for Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Thank you very much for checking us out. You can find us wherever you get your pods and on YouTube or on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the web, dudeswatchstuff.com. Simple, easy. Thank you for remembering it, just like the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. All we ask is had fun. Please hit the thumb. And to be honest, if you didn't have fun and you hit the thumb anyways, you're super cool and awesome. Don't do it. I reverse psychology them. That's what I'm doing. Playing both sides.
He's doing a little column A and a little column B. Before we spend time in the part of Louisiana that's not New Orleans, we need to fill the holes in this house. There's some holes in this house. So what have you been filling your holes with recently?
Well, I've been kind of sticking to a couple of the usuals. I haven't had a whole lot of time, so just still trying to get on some of those random Letterkenny episodes that have snuck through the cracks on me. I think I've pretty much got that almost fully knocked out now. One thing I did get around to watching was a movie that I had mentioned in my hype segment not too long ago, probably about a month or so ago. And it was on some streaming service, and it was a movie by Ethan Coen and somebody else, not Joel Coen, but the branch off there with just the one Coen and I forget who else. Anyway, that movie was Drive-Away Dolls, and it looked cool. The trailer looked cool, so that's why I brought it up in the hype train. The movie itself was actually pretty good, man. It was. It started out to where I was pretty unsure about it the way it started playing out, and I didn't know if I would. I don't know if I would dig it the whole way through, but it definitely came through and proved itself. It's a solid watch, man, and it's got that Cohen feel to it, man, and it's it's a mysterious briefcase and packages you probably shouldn't look in, that kind of thing, and it's cool. It was good enough. That's pretty much it. Outside of the usual, man. I haven't spent a whole lot of time filling the holes this week, but that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, you stay filling that hole in your wallet, probably. Good stuff. I like the follow-up on the hype train. I will say just a couple of things that I watched that were not the greatest so that you don't have to waste some time on them. I finally finished The Regime, that Kate Winslet limited series from HBO. Yeah, it's a pass. HBO's usually got a high hit rate with me, man. So I thought maybe it would go somewhere. Really didn't. So I think you could probably go ahead and skip that one. I also watched Madam Web. That it's got Sydney Sweeney in it. The whatever Spider-Man universe movie or whatever. It has Adam Scott, who I love. Party Down, Parks and Rec, and everything. Oh boy, bad and like not even quite bad in that good bad way. You know what I mean? So you can skip that one too. And also Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire. This is a Zack Snyder joint. If you know Zack Snyder, it's a Zack Snyder movie. It's got that toned down color palette. It's got the slow-mo fight scenes, and it's a Zack Snyder movie. It wasn't my cup of tea. Apparently he was supposed to make a Star Wars movie. They fired him and he turned the script into this. I think Netflix just released Part 2, which is why I watched Part 1. And that wasn't great. So I think you could probably go ahead, skip that one. If you're a Snyder fan, go for it, to each their own, but just didn't really enjoy it. And also didn't really enjoy the NBA playoffs, as both of my teams, the Philadelphia 76ers and the LA Clippers. They bottomed out, not in a good way. They're not great, Bob. Jamie G, get us a little bit more excited about something you've seen that you can talk positively about.
Well, two things, Mills. First off, I've been a harsh critic of the show Fargo, where they use that this is based on a true story, even though it's not. But I decided to go ahead and watch season 5 as I worked my way through the first couple seasons there, and I got to say, so far, I'm really enjoying season 5 a lot. It took a weird turn recently, which kind of threw me off a little bit, but I really like where it's going. Super fun. So really enjoying that. And then I recently started a new Adult Swim animated series called Royal Crackers, and only got through 1 or 2 episodes, but it was definitely fun. And I think I'll go ahead and get through the rest of that season here pretty soon.
Nice. How far into Fargo season 5 are you?
I think I'm 4 episodes deep. There was just the Halloween episode. So a lot of fun stuff with that for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Again, I seem to like the odd number of seasons of Fargo. I don't know if that's a thing. And, I think, was it Star Trek movies or something? I forget what it is. Like, even the albums are good or something like that. But it seems that the odd number of Fargo seasons are definitely what really works for me. And as far as a few things that I watched that I did like, Star Wars, The Bad Batch animated joint on Disney Plus, it just ended. If you're not really a Star Wars person or whatever, you won't really care. It's more if you were a fan of the Clone Wars, the animated series back in the day. This was kind of a continuation of that. Ended at the end of its 3rd season here. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Didn't start out so great. It was one of those shows that started, I believe, kind of right during the COVID phase. It started out slow, but it definitely finished off well. I enjoyed that. Also really enjoyed Shogun. That finished up the FX Hulu joint I've talked about before. I don't want to spoil anything. I'd love to talk about it in the future. Definitely check it out. All episodes streaming on Hulu. Checked out a couple of older random joints. Eastern Promises, the David Cronenberg, Viggo Mortensen joint. I don't know if you haven't seen that one in a while. It's worth it just for the crazy Viggo Mortensen naked in a bathhouse fight scene, which is just still one of the best fight scenes of the decade, probably. That is awesome. Also checked out LA Confidential. You forget back then, Kevin Spacey, Russ Crowe, these guys, Guy Pearce, like no one quite knew who they were. Just superb cast. It's got that kind of Chinatown old film noir vibe. I think that is now streaming on either Hulu or Max, so you can check that one out. And finally, I got around to finally catching up and watching Hacks on Max. The first 2 episodes of season 3 just came out. It's really funny, man. It's got its own vibe. There's definitely some other HBO shows in its DNA, and it is definitely, a female-driven show or whatever, but Jean Smart she is just funny. She plays like an aging, Vegas super comic, like on the level of like a Wayne Newton kind of Queen of Vegas kind of deal, kind of doing, interacting with the youths or whatever. And it has its moments where it might be a little bit like too like, oh, you millennials are all Gen Z or whatever, but it's just fun. It's funny. It's really good. So the first 2 episodes of season 3 are now out on HBO. I think there's 10 episodes in the first season, 8 in the second. They're, 25 to 40 minute joints. They're not super long or whatever. I kind of burned through it in a weekend because the joint was coming out. I had said before, again, it's something I was hyped about. So I followed up just like the soup on the hype train. We get the gold star on our joint, dude. Like 3 more on our bucket joint. We get the pan pizza from Pizza Hut. I'm really excited about this.
Yes, it's like reading across America or whatever. But I'll tell you what it's time for, Mills. It's out with the old and it's time to get in with the new, because it's time for Hype Train, baby. Mills, what's on the horizon coming up right around the corner that you are hyped up about?
What's wild is the NFL will probably be dropping the schedule in 2 weeks or something. We're in May. This is getting out of hand. I am going to go with Dark Matter. And no, it's not the old sci-fi show. There's been a whole bunch of things called Dark Matter. This is a new series from Apple TV, kind of a sci-fi joint based on a novel. It's one of those kind of like alternate version of your life kind of deals or whatever. But it's starring Joel Edgerton, Jennifer Connelly, Alice Braga, Jimmy Simpson. You got Jimmy Simpson there. We got some McPoyle representation in there. Apple TV has done really well with these kind of niche sci-fi shows. I love Silo. I've heard good things about Foundation. I enjoyed Constellation. So I figure it'd be something worth giving a try to. And because I got a new iPhone not so long ago, I'm on the free trial of the Apple TV. So it works out nicely like that. Also very excited for, if you play fantasy football, Dynasty especially. We got our rookie drafts coming up. The NFL drafts in the books. Those were exciting. And, the boys in House of the Dragon, all that good stuff. Who else is hype about something? Jamie G?
Oh man, I gotta be honest with you, Mills. I am pretty excited. I don't know that it's gonna be like amazing, but I'm like excited and I want to see it. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, man. Like these are ones that I like to like throw on and just kind of. I think the graphics and kind of the way that they film these movies has always been really good. You can, it's kind of either you love them or hate them. I'm not like the biggest fan, but I'm excited for this one, man. The trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, right, because this is Matt Reeves, actually, who did the 3 reboots. He's not on this one, but he created, the first 3 in the reboot series, and he went on to directed the Batman, which I think we all liked. And so that's kind of cool. It's continuing that universe, and I think they're all streaming on Hulu right now. And either on Hulu or Max, all the old Planet of the Apes are streaming. Those aren't bad. I remember watching them on ANC back in the day because they do a marathon. And they'd be, kind of back to back or whatever. And you can kind of see the budget go. So the ape makeup gets worse and worse and worse. But they were kind of my real introduction to that kind of cheesy 60s, 70s sci-fi. So I always have a small place in my heart for that. And I also remember seeing the Tim Burton one in the theater. And still no one has ever explained the ending of that one to me. It did literally on the DVD commentary. Tim Burton's like, I don't know, maybe somebody else like did something.
It's one of those weird ones. Yeah, the trailer looks good. I'm pretty stoked about that one, Mills.
Nice. Soup, how about yourself?
Soup, you got anything you're excited about?
I do, man. Outside of the obvious with, the boys and the House of Dragon and the draft and all that coming up, man, what I'm really stoked about is season 3 of Shoresy. Got the official release date, man. Now it's going to vary a little bit here. Like, it comes out in Canada first. If you're in Canada or can get Crave is what they call it up there, then you're going to be able to watch Shoresy on May 24th here, coming up very soon. If you're in America like myself, then and we're waiting for it to come on Hulu, it'll be there on June 21st, and that is right in the mix of a couple other shows that I'm going to be watching as well. But I'm still super stoked for it, man. I've mentioned it before, but that's probably my favorite show outside of a couple of it's right there. I love Shoresy.
It's on my list, dude. When I'm next up, I'm kind of looking for just a kind of breezy comedy, kind of like easy to watch deal. It's right up there for me. So
yeah, so stoked about that. Looking forward to that, man.
You got me hyped, dude. You've done your job.
Nice.
Before we check in on the 2 Utes, we need to connect us dudes to the dude with 6 Degrees of Lebowski. Mills, I'll start you off with an easy one here. Go ahead and connect Joe Pesci to the Big Lebowski without using Donnie, a.k.a. Steve Buscemi.
All right. No Donnie. Fair enough. In My Cousin Vinny, Joe Pesci plays Vinny Gambini. In Jimmy Hollywood, Joe Pesci plays Jimmy Alto, while Christian Slater played William. In Pump Up the Volume, Christian Slater played Mark Hunter, while Samantha Mathis played Nora De Niro. In The Thing Called Love, Samantha Mathis played Miranda Presley, and Jimmy Dale Gilmore played himself, and Jimmy Dale Gilmore is Smokey.
Wow. All right. That was pretty good. I'll give you that. But do you have another one in you?
That's more of that's what she said than a phrasing thing, but whatever. All right. In My Cousin Vinny, Ralph Macchio plays Bill Gambini. In The Outsiders, Ralph Macchio played Johnny Cade, while Patrick Swayze played Daryl Curtis. In the original Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze played James Dalton, while Ben Gazzara played Brad Wesley. And Ben Gazzara is Jackie Treehorn.
Yes, he is. And he's log jamming. Mills, I believe that you've done your job here. I hate to ask, but I'm going to, because we need to get at least one with Marissa Tomei, please.
I'm actually okay with that. I agree. We need more Marissa Tomei.
I'm right? I mean, yeah, I'm right.
Please the court. In My Cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei plays Mona Lisa Vito. In The Paper, Marissa Tomei played Martha Hackett, while Jeffrey Owens played Lou. In The Gang Gets Invincible, season 3, episode 2 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Jeffrey Owens played middle-aged guy / Donovan McNabb, and Faizon Love played Coach. In Friday, Faizon Love played Big Worm, and Neil Long played Debbie. In Premonition, Neil Long played Annie, and Peter Stormare played Dr. Roth. Peter Stormare is Nihilist number 1.
Wow, needed to use all 6 degrees there, but I love it. Good job. But I have to admit, I thought you were going to go with Jeffrey Owens as Tiger Woods instead of Donovan McNabb. I mean, it is golf season.
Are you sure you don't mean Don Cheadle? All right. I got you. Same start. In My Cousin Vinny, Marissa Tomei plays Mona Lisa Beto. In The Paper, Marissa Tomei played Martha Hackett, while Jeffrey Owens played Lou. In Frank's Pretty Woman, season 7, episode 1 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Jeffrey Owens played fake Tiger Woods, and Alana Ubach played Roxy. In Waiting, Alana Ubach played Naomi, and Emmanuel Shriekry played Isla. In You Don't Mess with the Zohan, Emmanuel Shriekry played Dahlia, and John Turturro played Phantom, and John Turturro is the Jesus.
8-year-olds, dude. All right, dudes. This is the first that I'm hearing about this, but apparently there's more to Louisiana than just Nolans and the original Popeyes. Mills, why don't you give us the details?
This is My Cousin Vinny, directed by Jonathan Lynch, written by Dale Launer, produced by Dale Launer and Paul Schiff. Cinematographer was Peter Deming, edited by Stephen E. Rivkin, music by Randy Edelman. Originally released March 13th, 1992, had a budget of $11 million, upon which it returned $64.1 million at the United States box office, starring Joe Pesci, Ralph Macchio, Marissa Tomei, Mitchell Whitfield, and Fred Gwynn. The short plot synopsis is: 2 New Yorkers accused of murder in rural Alabama while on their way back to college call in the help of one of their cousins, a loudmouthed lawyer with no trial experience. And no, this is not a biography about Jamie G. Esquire the Fifth.
Well, just so y'all know, this is going to be a full-on spoiler discussion of My Cousin Vinny. And to be fair, we might wind up saying some other shit about other courtroom films or other Pesci movies. It's probably quite possible, honestly. So all that's in play. So I think that just about does it. Consider yourselves warned.
Let's start off by stating the obvious here. All 3 of us absolutely love Joe Pesci and are in love with Marissa Tomei. With that being said, why does My Cousin Vinny stand out for you? Mills, what did you think here? What were your overall thoughts on what elevates My Cousin Vinny over something like The Super, for example?
I do have a soft spot in my heart for the Super. It's not just the MC Hammer of it all, or Joe Pesci dunking a basketball, but that's something for a later date. My Cousin Vinny just works. No scene overstays its welcome. It just looks real, right? It feels real. It feels lived in. It's underrated funny, and you get why Marissa Tomei won the Oscar. I get that she won a lot for her testimony scene and everything. She's so good in that, but just throughout it, her facial expressions, all the different outfits she wears, a lot of care went into this movie that I think elevates it above a normal comedy. And you could kind of see how in different hands, maybe this doesn't turn out to be such a good flick, but it doesn't try to be anything more than it is. Everyone is cast perfectly. It's just a good time. You can just put it on, just leave it on in the background, and it sticks with you, right? There are parts of this movie, if you haven't seen it in years, you only see it one time. You'd be amazed how much stuff just sticks in your head. I mean, one of my buddies wrote to this thing, like, are you sure? I'm positive. Like, no way would we, you know what I mean? It's just so random, but that's what we've all, remembered from My Cousin Vinny when we were younger or whatever in rewatching it. I think it actually held up even better than I'd expected to. So, Jamie G, I will give you a good call on this one. How about yourself? Anything you pitched it? Anything on the rewatch that surprised you or stick out? Anything like that?
Sometimes courtroom scenes are so hard to do. And I thought they nail the courtroom scenes, which is so important for this, obviously, but they don't, it feels like you're in a realistic Southern conservative courtroom, but they still bring that humor that's so hilarious. Dude, one of the things that stood out upon rewatch is way funnier than I remember it being, which is saying something. It's really funny. It's really good. There's a lot of little stuff in here. Like they pull up and just the sign is pools and chicken. It's just like random stuff all over the
running
place.
gags
It's just
too.
like,
The running gags, the background gags. There's a lot of it. There's more comedy than you would have initially thought.
100%. And all the casting, I think you cannot, Marissa Tomei, Joe Pesci aside, all the side casting is unbelievable. I mean, Ralph Mariachio is probably the worst, and that's, and he's great. So
Yeah, the two
just
defendants
because
we're
the
supposed to be
casting's so
rooting
good.
for are probably my least favorite characters, but that's fine.
Yeah, seriously.
Nothing against them. I mean, they're both
great
kind of
movie.
those 80s actors that weren't a lot of that stuff. So, this is just them kind
Well,
of.
it's just like Ralph Mariachio is cool. He's like the cool one. The other one's like the nervous one. and
Macchio,
it's-
he likes to have the eye on. He's like, 'cause he thinks he's a Marinacci. So, it's all good. I now am picturing Ralph Macchio dressed like the Karate Kid, but as a mariachi.
Mariachio.
Ralph Mariachio, dude.
Yeah, I like that. That'd be a great cosplay or a Halloween costume or something like that.
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio as that would be
A
actually a
mashup.
pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that'd be a good Halloween costume. Back pocket that one. That's a good one. Soup, anything for you that stuck out on the rewatch?
This movie was great. It was just as good as I already remembered, and I'm glad, dude. Good call on this pitch, man. I'm glad it came around, and it was a fun rewatch, man, and it had me laughing right from the beginning all the way to the end. Even though I knew, I knew what was happening, but it was a good rewatch, man. So
Yeah, definitely
Solid.
double up on the good call because it's not one I probably ever would have pitched. But looking at it, I want to talk for about 25 minutes just about that little diner breakfast scene that probably lasts all of like 2 minutes, and I can talk for an hour about just all the various things that are implied or going on in that scene.
yeah. There's a lot to this movie. I mean, it's not just a random comedy, man.
Not
I mean,
just
it's
the two
deep, dude. There's
youths.
a lot of layers here, man.
Yeah.
And everybody kills it in this movie. I mean, obviously Pesci and Tomei, and I'll disagree with you on the whole Macchio thing too, man. I think he did a good job on this in this also because he just plays the role he's supposed to play, and he's kind of like spaced out. I don't know if they don't show it, or I don't know if it's a deal, but he seems like he's just really stoned the whole time. Because with the whole confession and shit, it's like
That might have been method
even in
acting.
jail and shit, he's just so calm and man, but whatever, his demeanor is and stuff. But he played well to it, and I think, and whatever, man, he might be
Well,
one
I
of
don't
the
think he
weaker
was bad.
characters
Just
because
they
the other
were,
ones are so
everyone else is so good
but-
that they were
right.
kind of they don't get many laughs or anything really.
But we'll get into characters and stuff later on. But there's a couple other ones in there that I really enjoy too. Like I said, everybody killed it in this movie. I mean, it's all around good.
Yeah, I'm generally a fan of technology in urban areas, but I feel like I would go try to stay at one of those hotels, but I would leave one of the whistles or animals or something start happening.
The
I'd stay there for a
whistles,
night.
the train, the rooster, the pig. I mean, there's just so much there, dude. But
That's where the hype
I
train
thought one
goes.
of the
The hype train goes right through there, like about 5 a.m. every day or whatever.
it's
Or 4,
yeah, but
4:10
It's
or
very
whatever it
rare. I
is.
think it's supposed to be about 4:10 or something.
4:10,
Isn't it?
yeah, it's very rare. I thought one of the funniest scenes with just back to Macchio and his buddy when they're in prison and the friend's worried about getting raped and getting like sexually assaulted, and then Pesci comes in and he's like, there's just this innuendo about like he's there. He's like, I don't want to do this either, but it's just so funny, dude, because it's like, and then Macchio's sleeping or whatever, and then he wakes up. He's like, "Oh, Vinny." And he's like, "Oh, you're Vinny." It was just so funny, dude, because it's like that was just a great exchange between Pesci and that other kid. I love that.
Yeah, fair. We will get to that because that's right at the beginning of the flick. Anything any more overall before we get into specifics like that?
It was great. It held up. I think, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
watch it. It's streaming either on Max or Hulu, possibly both. I watched it on one of the two. I can't remember exactly which one, but it's on one of them. Check it out.
Yeah, it's out there. It's on Prime Max, whatever. It's there. Yeah.
Yeah, it might even be on multiple. It might be on Prime too. I didn't even look. I know it's on one of Hulu or Max. I watched on one of those.
I think
forget
Hulu
which
too,
one.
actually. Yeah, you're right. It is on Hulu right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's on. What I am it to like. Give us a thumb. Also, give it the thumb when you're on Hulu. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Thumb our Hulus for us, man.
I'm your huckleberry.
That's a T-shirt.
It is.
All right. Well, if we're going to have a wall of fame at the Pesci Pavilion, what would it look like? Mills, set the stage for us.
Cards on the table. We love My Cousin Vinny. But I don't know that you can really compare it to Goodfellas, Casino, The Irishman, Raging Bull. So instead of doing that, we just kind of tried to compare some of Joe Pesci's more memorable, comedy, non-gangster, family friendly, whatever you want, kind of, everything that's not, the stuff that Joe Pesci generally won a lot of awards for. We wound up ranking 13 flicks. I will just take us through the least favorite to get to our tops. Nobody was a fan of Gone Fishing. Jamie G, you gave an 8 to Betsy's Wedding. Soup and I couldn't remember actually seeing that one. Do you actually remember anything about Betsy's Wedding just out of curiosity, or did you put it in 8 because it's kind
Yeah,
of
dude,
unknown?
like his character was so funny in this. Like they kind of have to, they get in a jam and they hire like this like shady relative, and that's Joe Pesci's cousin, and you kind of get some of that Pesciism of like, you know, the criminal Pesci. I just thought his character was again based on his character. I just thought it was awesome.
Cool, because neither one of us remembered it, so I'm glad that somebody
Yeah, I
did.
might have
So
to give it a look,
I don't
dude.
know if that's streaming anywhere, but I guess I'll at least keep it in the back of the noodle if I see it. We'll check it out. And then there's With Honors. Soup and I were pretty down, or Jamie G and I were pretty down on this one. Soup, you had it at 6. I know we talked a little bit about it off game. I know this is probably a good movie. It just is kind of one of those comedy dramas that, and I haven't seen it in a while, to be fair. Jamie G had it dead last. I had it at 10 out of 13. You had it at 6. Anything you want to say about With Honors?
Yeah, I actually remember. I haven't seen it in a while either, but I remember really liking this movie. It was right. I think it came out like '94 or whatever, so it was right around the time where I was about to, thinking about going to college and stuff, or maybe even like watching it again during college years and whatnot. And it kind of related in that regard. But I do remember it being, it's more of a drama, a dramedy, and it's got the funny moments and stuff, and I do remember distinctly some of those. And but the story overall, I do remember it being good, and I remember it being part of something of that I really liked about it at the time. So that's why I ranked it as highly as I did.
Cool.
I remember that being, it was a cool movie, but I think this is like Brendan Fraser and whatnot. I remember that one being kind of sad, man. It wasn't
He was
really
a homeless dude, right?
it
Or
is.
something.
Yeah,
They
it's
got
got
like
drama.
goes
Yeah.
to Harvard or
He's-
something.
He's
Be friends
they're
with
at like
students,
Boston
yeah.
University or Harvard or something, and he's
One in Boston.
but he's living in like the the furnace room or something.
It's like the
It's a
beginning
great
of
movie.
Strays where like you gotta watch dude beating the dog or whatever. It's definitely got its
It just was
Sad
it just was more sad. I just remember and this is a spoiler for that movie, but I just remember like he wanted to die like a dog. He wanted to like go out in the woods and like lay down and die on his own, and it was a whole thing because the students loved him and didn't want it to happen. I just remember it not really being a comedy. Nothing against it.
yeah, well,
it's
just
got
not,
funny
not
moments and stuff,
necessarily,
but-
it's build comedy drama, but just as kind of, the Pesci non, the
It
roles that we
is
going for a
Pesci
little
in more
bit,
of a
so.
comedic role, but it is also serious. It is very intelligent. There's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of really
definitely
cool,
not Pesci and Goodfellas, though. Definitely none of that.
Yeah.
What he typically plays, I guess. And then, well, we have Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. That's fine. I mean, Pesci's good in it. It is what it is. It's not bad. I'll watch it at Christmas. Not a ton of interest outside of that. Then we have Jimmy Hollywood. Honestly, I know this movie exists. I've seen it a long time ago. I was pretty low on it. The Soup was also pretty low. Jamie G, you had it at 5. I know The Soup is probably partial because it's got the Slater too. Anything in defense of Jimmy Hollywood?
Dude, first of all, did you see Pesci's hair in this thing, man? It's unbelievable,
ridiculous
dude. The
long.
long-
Yeah,
Well, someone
yeah.
else to watch
Locks in
on
there.
YouTube.
Yes, his hair is awesome. Slater's a stud. I just again, the storyline's kind of cool here. I think this is a ton of fun, man. I'm a big time fan of this one.
No, I'm with you, dude. I wish I could have ranked this one a little bit higher than I did, but I couldn't just because I don't remember really liking it. I think it disappointed me because I thought it would be a lot better than it was, and it just didn't. I mean, it's good enough from what I recall, man, but it didn't like.
Right, you got Pesci and Slater at that point in time, both kind of at their peaks. You're hoping for some
They set the
magic.
bar pretty high. Pesci and Slater, you figured it would be a fucking banger, and I don't remember it being a banger. I do remember some things from this movie that were pretty good, and it just fell a little bit short on the rankings because of that, and I hated that about it, but obviously I would try to push for a Slater Pesci combo or a Slater or anything, but I mean, it is where it is on that. I didn't put it last or anything, but it wasn't as high as I wanted it, so.
Spoken like a man who needs to justify his Christian Slater tattoo.
Yeah.
And then we have the Super. Both of you were kind of down. I have a soft spot for the Super. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's a terrible movie. Really, it's actually kind of sort of based on Donald Trump, believe it or not. But just the scene of Joe Pesci dunking and then him like dancing to rap music. It's so just deliberately bad. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that time of life and I owned it on VHS or whatever. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Super. And we were all pretty much middle of the road on Easy Money. It tied with Lethal Weapon 4 for kind of the tied for 6 here, just outside of the top 5. And I will say I am a fan of Lethal Weapon 4. I think it is one of the funnier Lethal Weapons. Maybe it's just because you also brought Chris Rock into the mix, but I was a little bit higher on Lethal Weapon 4 than y'all, but nobody was especially down on it. Jimmy G, you were a little down on it, but Pesci's good at it.
Well, I actually haven't seen it. That's why. I couldn't really give it a fair grade.
Shout out to you. You've seen Betsy's Wedding, but not Lethal Weapon 4.
Holy shit!
I remember Lethal Weapon 4, dude.
Wow,
well, that's the one with Jet Li. I don't know if that helps. That's they're getting too old for this shit.
They are getting too old for this shit.
Ring a bell? Well, that brings us
put that on your list to watch, dude. Holy shit, man! Yeah, Lethal Weapon 4, dude. Check it out.
Well, it definitely flows because we're into our top 5. Number 5 is Lethal Weapon 3. JBG had it at 4. Soup had it at 5. I had it at 9. I don't have any problem with it. It's just my least favorite Lethal Weapon movie out of the 4. So that's why I got the 9 for me. But other than that, I don't have any problem with it. Pesci's predictably great. I feel like that's the one with the hockey game and stuff, and he gets shot. That's a pretty good performance there at the King's Stand.
I'm so cold, I'm dying.
Oh, because he's laying on the ice.
I thought 3 was good, man. I
don't think it was bad. It's my least favorite of the 4 Lethal Weapon movies. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I had to base it on the Pesci performance for the event though here, man. So if I were basing it on Lethal Weapon movies, it might be different.
Well,
but
it's 4, you get the drive-through joint and the cell phone joint. That's top tier Pesci in Lethal Weapon 4. So.
Yeah. That is those are quotable.
It's really
very
there's
common.
a lot of good Pesci in there. Any Pesci is good Pesci. At 4 we have Lethal Weapon, or excuse me, at 4 we have Home Alone. I was higher on this. I just had a soft spot in my heart. I remember going to watch it at the theater with my grandma and everything. And it was, I was not that old. I don't even know. I was 9, 10 years old or whatever when I saw Home Alone. So it was, kind of violent and cool, like a live action cartoon. I have a soft spot in my heart for that one. At 3, maybe a little bit of a spoiler or a surprise. 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag. Y'all both had it at 2. I had it at 6. I think it's solid. This is one I have not seen in a while, but I remember really liking it when I rewatched it a couple of years ago. I hadn't seen it in a long time before that. Either y'all want to say anything about 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag?
It's funny, man.
I think it's great, dude. I think it's very funny. Plus, you're getting a lot of it. It's a little bit of like analyze this kind of humor where it's like you're getting De Niro and who's a mobster, but he's in kind of like this, I don't know, not family setting, but you know what I mean, kind of like light setting. You're getting a little bit of that with this, and I think it works so well with Pesci, dude. Like, definitely awesome.
Yeah, I think it has the feel of like an '80s John Cusack movie, like with the element of Pesci thrown in the mix, So
it's a little bit of a dark kind of but still kind of not necessarily family friendly. I know the vibe, and I want to check that one out again. At 2, we have Lethal Weapon 2 is only fitting. We all ranked it at 3. This is when we meet Pesci's character. Whatever Leo gets, whatever you need.
Leo gets, dude. Yeah.
Leo gets. And, we won't even get into diplomatic immunity has been revoked or anything. And at 1, we had a clean sweep. And this would have surprised me before we rewatched it, but we have My Cousin Vinny. So I think that we feel like the best of the non-gangster type roles that Joe Pesci has played, or also Raging Bulls.
Yeah, this is way up there, and this was a fun exercise to go through because I realized like, damn, dude, that's how good My Cousin Vinny is, honestly.
Yeah, and Joe Pesci, that's why he's a pavilion named after him.
The Pesci Pavilion. All right, well, it is time to deep dive into My Cousin Vinny. I think what we're going to try to do here is split things up between the court stuff and everything else. Let's begin outside of the court. Did you enjoy the fish out of water comedy that we get here?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing when you see the guys in the opening and they go to the store. And then even when Mona Lisa and Vinny show up in town and the way they're dressed and everything like that, and the way everyone looks at them, even throughout, like,
they go into the bar, I mean? With the start of the $200 gag to kick the guy's ass, which that scene's hilarious, by the way. But the music stops. Everyone turns and stares at him, and it's a whole thing. Like it's kind of a
record scratch almost, like.
And it works though. Like it works really well. Like it really does.
Do you think the Chinese food there is really terrible or no?
I wonder how the Chinese food is too. I think that's a
I would have to. I would have to maybe. I would have to maybe throw a wager that they probably don't even have a Chinese restaurant in that town.
Same, or you just get it from the
You'd
bar.
probably have to go to like. You'd probably have to drive a good 30. You'd like it'd be driving from like
Okie dokie, doggy daddy.
to get some Chinese food or something.
Maybe this is where Postmates or whatever got invented back then. So someone would drive to like somewhere where you could get Chinese food. And I like even when they're driving, it's just a random thing that adds to the tone. When they're driving, just send up in the opening credits there, you see a sign like, oh, dirt. I forget, it's like $1 or a yard or whatever the hell it is. But like horse manure was free.
Yeah, I mean, you
So
gotta
just
get
keep
away
that in
from
mind when
shit.
you're driving through the country.
You can't get your
Dirt, you have to
shit
pay
straight.
for. Manure, free.
If you can find a way to sell shit and make money on it, man. Yeah.
You can always just light it on fire and see what happens.
Although
I heard
dirt's
that.
right there too, but yeah, you would think maybe there's more dirt than shit on the planet. But there's a lot of both.
You
So
might want to mix them together even. Who knows? Maybe that's
Resources,
the
man.
way to go. What did you think
Blend
about
it.
the whole bit? How they, get arrested and fake confess? I know you mentioned it's a little over the top. They probably go to take the gag maybe a step or two too far, where the dude should have realized it wasn't because he stole an ice cream bar or a candy bar or a bag of chips
can of
from-
tuna.
Can of tuna.
Can of
Yeah,
tuna.
I mean, that's all over a can of tuna. I mean, that's
Well, the
was
whole
fine.
thing with the I shot the clerk. I shot like that was kind of like, man, come on.
right.
But,
It's supposed
but
to read as I
honestly,
shot the clerk ? But
yeah,
right, it makes sense because you got to remember the language barrier between the two. Like you're talking deep south to Brooklyn in the early '90s. So the language barrier is there, man. It's not just a different accent. It's a legit language barrier at this point, pretty much.
if this was a movie
I the
that
only
they
one that thinks
remade
so?
now, they'd have somebody on their phone with Google Translate to try to translate like
Yeah.
the Louisiana speak into the Brooklyn or Bronx S speak that they have here. It's fine. You're right though. That is a little bit. It's pushed probably a touch too far. I mean, it's a really accessory to shoplifting.
Is there such a thing? I don't know. And how hard can how harsh can the penalty for that even be? I mean, accessory. That's like an accessory to freaking jaywalking or something.
Yeah, theoretically, like what you were with somebody who shoplifted, whatever. But just the
I didn't
minutia.
even know he was doing it, man.
And you mentioned it in one of my definitely just laugh out loud gags. Kind of this same thing. The mistaken. What are we talking about here? When Vinny shows up at the jail, and it did in real life, you would go to a conference room. They would just put your lawyer in the cell with you there. But it's so good because you think that's what's going to happen. Obviously that he's going to get raped and what have you. And this is one that probably goes too far, and it almost stops being funny, and then it starts being funny again because they keep going with it.
Yeah, I love the scene, especially where it fell in the movie right away. Like Vinny's intro to the two Utes, is that and it is fucking hilarious, dude. The entire conversation, and it just keeps getting better. And you're right. As soon as you think it's gone too far, then boom, we're done. And anybody she said, I'm done with you. And he goes over there and wakes up other dude. But yeah, I mean, dude, I haven't laughed at when I rewatched that. I forgot about that scene, and when I got into it, I laughed
so funny.
hard out loud right away.
And even when they're walking in
Dude, I was
carrying their
dying,
stuff,
bro.
I reminded me of the fish scene in Half Baked. When they're carrying their laundry and walking in, and all the guys are at the front of the cells or whatever. It just
Yeah.
reminded me when Brian or whatever goes in and they all fish, because
Kenny,
they do a
man.
good job of setting it up, and that's why it lands when Vinny shows up and dude is so scary.
It's so funny, dude, with the dude sleeping. Like I literally remember watching this. I was laughing, and to
Well,
their
every line
credit,
plays into it. Every line plays into the whole gag
yes,
of it.
and they hold it together. The actors here, Pesci and the other guy, they hold it so well to where it's like, oh, dude, this is brilliant. Works fantastic.
Yeah, just extremely well done. If you're going to do a gag like that, you have to execute it, and they execute it at all levels. And we talk about the smaller things. When the guard lets Vinny in the cell, he tips him. He's just little stuff like that. The guard's kind of confused, but he takes the money anyways. Just the little stuff like that, I think is excellent. And the idea that Vinny had to take the bar exam 6 times, I know people have taken it at least 4 times. I don't think that's necessarily insane that someone might have to take the New
I
York
heard it's
bar
not
6
easy.
times.
As a
Oh,
matter of
dude,
fact,
it's
I heard
definitely
it's
not
right
easy.
up-
I've helped people study for the bar. It's I've taken the LSAT for fun before because I am a strange person.
But hey, man, if 6
it's
times
not
is the
really that
charm,
much fun. Let me just tell you that. you know, again, everything here is just so well written. Once they get into town, you set up the running gag of them getting woke up every morning by something different. So they pretty much sleep somewhere different every night, but it's something different waking them up, be it the steam whistle, the train, the animals. And this was just one of my favorite
Dude, even
running
when
gags.
even when they sleep in the car, they still get woke up by the storm. Like they never get a night's sleep, man.
They never do. I remember watching that steam whistle. Literally, like, I'm just watching it. Just like, yep, that would like that rattled my bones almost. Like, no matter how many times I watch this, it gets me every time.
Seeing them wake up in these sudden jolting things, in and of itself, is funny. You know,
That's
from
a
him
terrible way to
to,
wake up.
you know, from him to waking up to this the sound, to going outside and seeing the hogs in his outfit, to shooting at the thing with his shoes, to just the whole thing is just
Owl's
great.
a great one when they're at the cabin and he goes
Yeah.
out and just starts just popping off, and they nowhere near the actual owl. And we mentioned it. I don't know if we were quite on cam yet. The joint when he goes to ask the clerk at the hotel about the train. He's like, "Does this happen? Every day or whatever?" No. This doesn't happen every day. Oh no, usually it comes earlier. Like for a lawyer, that was a good lesson to where he should have asked a follow-up question, right? Like
Well,
that's definitely
but that runner's so funny because it's like, no, hardly ever. And he's like, okay, and then the next day it happens again, and he's like, and then he just holds the belt down, and he's just like, I thought you said that never happens. It's like, it never comes at 5. It's supposed to be like 10 after 4. I mean, just great, dude. Great.
Hotel lobby. If you look, there's an elevator, like an old timey elevator without a shaft. It's just kind of like a crank joint with an order sign on it. Again, just the background gags and the smaller stuff in this is just absolutely fantastic. And then we get to one of my favorite parts when they go to breakfast, because I'm just fascinated by this concept of a restaurant. Just hands you a menu. This is breakfast, lunch, dinner. What would you like?
Yeah,
because
what do you want?
That's it's nice flexibility, right? You're allowed to get dinner at 0 in the morning, but then you also have no say over what you're getting. Soup is someone who works in a kitchen. Do you like this concept?
Yes and no. I like it because then it's like, hey man, you ordered it, you're getting what you're fucking getting and what I'm making you, and that's it, man. That's what we got. So it limits the possibilities there, man. It limits the questions and the hassle, man. You just throw some lard on the thing, man, and cook some grits and some bacon or ham or
hefty scoop of lard. Very important.
Yeah, but no,
I
like
huge
that
gigantic bucket that's also labeled lard.
Lundies,
Just a
dude.
barrel of lard.
Lundies. If you're gonna use lard, you got to use the Lundies. But no, I like it and I don't like it. I like it because it's funny. Like, man, if I were to make a menu just at breakfast, lunch, dinner, that's great and it's hilarious for one thing. But for two, it's also a mystery, and I like that about it too. For three, I'm a creative dude, and I would never do that, man, because then it takes away all the fun and all the, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it even opens that up more. Shit, maybe we're onto something here.
Think about it. Somewhere that has a menu like this that just has breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's either the cheapest restaurant on the planet or the most expensive.
The best.
There's
almost
no
in between,
middle
right?
ground.
Yeah.
It's one or the other, right? This just fascinates, and not even to see it in the prices. That whole breakfast is what, $3.95? And I believe these are hominy grits, definitely not instant.
Hominy
I
grits.
don't know if that's a thing. Apparently, they don't really make them like that anymore. It's hard to kind of find or whatever to get the actual.
No, you can totally find them, man. Yeah, I mean, grits
in the
grits,
South,
dude, I mean,
maybe.
It's there, man.
It's grits. I'm personally, dude, I like grits, but it's
grits.
The first time you eat it, it is like, what is a grit? If you don't grow up with grits, you got to be it's a Southern thing, but I grew to love grits over the years. I enjoyed it.
Well, there's a lot of cool
brown
things.
hash browns, home fries, generally over them, if that's an option.
You don't have to just go grits with eggs. Like I don't like runny ass grits with some eggs.
You get cheesy grits too, right? I know someone does cheesy.
You can do a
grits
lot
with
with grits,
bacon.
man. Like I love cheesy grits. You can flavor them however you want. I mean, you can put whatever in them, but you can also do shit like I do with like grit cakes, like fried grit cakes or whatever, with like fish and grits or some shit like that.
Shrimp and grits, dude. That's
you can
like
make
the
grit
best.
croutons, man. I mean, you can do a lot with them. So.
Grit Croutons is a new one. That sounds like it might be a cool death metal band. Like, we are Grit Croutons.
We're opening for Guar, dude.
As long as they have hologram Beavis and Butthead. Was it Butthead that one of them wore the Guar shirt, right? That's what made Guar popular, man. I feel like one of them, one of Beavis
I
and
think somebody
Butthead.
on there did. I don't know if it was one of them.
Or they did
ACD,
Guar, maybe. It was
Metallica,
ACDC and Metallica. You're right, but they did
Metallica,
Guar.
yeah.
There was something with Guar on Beavis and Butthead. I can't remember exactly what. And you brought it up before, the scene where they sleep in the car. I just enjoyed that for the idea of Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei have pretty good chemistry together. Let's be honest, despite the fact that Joe Pesci is like 20 years older and a foot shorter, they actually kind of work together.
I know.
That
The
just
whole
shows
time
you
you're
how,
thinking,
how
why
cool
is
Joe
she
Pesci
begging
is, really.
him? But he's Pesci, dude.
He's
And
yeah,
no, they
he's
do.
Vinny, dude.
Yeah.
He's Vinny Gambini, which is also a great name. And Mona Lisa
Yeah, it
Vito.
is.
I mean, the names are just off the chart in this movie. So shout out to the writers here. Those are well done. But that scene's just great because it gives you the whole thing about the tires spinning in the mud, which come back later. There's actually a couple times in the movie they bring up the cars in the mud. And then the bit where,
How do you get mud in
then
those
he's going in
tires?
his trunk and he just throws his suit into the mud. And we'll talk about when he actually wears the
That whole
replacement
scene's
in
great,
court in
yeah.
a bit. But just the idea, and he's like, where'd you put my suit? And just the idea, like, I guess he just does have the one suit, huh? Like, I mean, that's fine, but that's got to be a pain in the ass. At least get a couple of different ties, maybe.
He did have, I did see a couple different times.
Well, he wasn't. I don't think he was planning on. Yeah, he was planning on just rocking his leather, dude. You know, so.
I trust Vinny to believe that was real. That was not a pleather situation or anything like that. Maybe the best part about the can't sleep gag is when he finally, he keeps getting held in contempt of court. And finally, he's like, you know what? I just want to get a good night's sleep. Let me go to jail. He goes to jail. All hell is breaking loose in jail. All the guys are yelling. He is just sleeping like a baby. It sounds like the city again. It sounds like home or whatever. Only good night of sleep he gets was in jail. I don't know if that's ironic or not. We're still working on what is irony and what is satire or whatever, but I definitely enjoyed that.
Agreed.
Although Jamie G, maybe you would know this. Did they let you bring your briefcase into your jail cell with you? I don't know. Maybe if you're cool with the judge or something like that. I'm not sure.
Cool with the judge, but technically you're not supposed to. There's a little bit of a slip up there. That's okay. And Vinny was definitely not cool with the judge. Not until the end. Jerry Callow with the C.
Gallo's dead.
And he's shallow and weak-willed. Again, we're full of the mole references tonight. And one of my favorite runners was the $200, right? Because I love the fact that when they get into town, Mona Lisa's first instinct was to go hustle somebody at pool. And she won $200 just like that. So she must be pretty good, right? When they start out at maybe $10, so she had to win a few games in a row there, even double or nothing to get it to 200. But this is just great, all the different levels to it. Oh, you got to get the one. Oh, you got to show me that he doesn't have the real role. He's got the fake role. And then he finally is so pissed off when he just gets it at the end. Thought this whole bit was great, kind of like the epitome of just a very solid running gag.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorites, man, because, this guy comes up and tries to be like, hey, man, I got your $200. And Pesci calls him out every time. He's like, I don't know, it's not just a 20 with a bunch of ones, wrapped around one around. And he's all bummed out. He's like, shit. Thought he was going to get him.
Again, it goes back to the good writing. Like, the reason he's supposed to be a good lawyer is because he observes shit and he's instinctive. We got that whole speech.
Yeah, I like that scene especially because, if you're going to try to trick somebody, but you're on the level of where you're going to make $200 look like this big, probably not $200, dude. You know what I mean? Usually it could be just like 2 bills, maybe 4, You're wrapping all the things. So obviously it's fake, or maybe not. Maybe he is just got a bunch of one. I don't know.
I feel like Vinny Gambini, he knows how to eyeball. Like, you've seen that before.
Yeah.
Like, even in Rounders, remember? Just looks at the roll like, nope, that's like $3,000, $4,000 at the most.
The only thing about when he finally gets it, though, you can definitely tell that the stunt double's in there as he goes to do the jump punch. That's the only thing where it's it's almost so bad that it's all right, that's actually funny.
I wish they would have the punch out thing and the little back star, and he actually just does the jump.
Yeah,
that would probably be more something now. But to be honest, this only works because, it's funny, Pesci's a lot smaller than him, but it works because we know Joe Pesci, right? You're expecting Goodfellas, Joe Pesci beat the shit out of him with a phone or whatever. So you're just waiting for Vinny to actually beat him, right? Because any other time you'd expect the big guy to beat the shit out of him because it's Joe Pesci. You're like, oh yeah, he's going to kick the crap out of him whenever it happens. So it's a nice job of kind of using our expectations against us a little bit, or, kind of leaning into the Joe Pesci. And how about just, I guess, kind of everything, I mentioned that Pesci and Marissa Tomei having really good chemistry together. I mean, they really do, right? I mean, just the little stuff in bed, and they obviously talk about cars. They both like cars. They set that up early on. They're talking about carburetors and dead balls on accurate and that kind of thing. So it always comes back around. And she gets him shit, right? She's all, oh, why aren't you reading this or whatever? You have the whole dynamic that she's kind of the smart one doing all the reading and helping him out. I just think it's a cool way of kind of, they balance them out, and you get the idea why she would be, mad at Vinny. And let's be honest here. It does feel like Vinny outkicked his coverage a little bit, right? Like, Mona Lisa is maybe a little bit too good for him.
But you know what, though?
But they work together, right?
They work so well together. And I love, even when they have their little, like that scene on the bed where she's trying to prove that the faucets broke, and that is so awesome. And God, she's incredible. But like their chemistry together is really good.
Yeah. And again, just, and not the Marissa Tomei would come out of nowhere, but she just kind of a force of nature. And Pesci, we've seen him, in Goodfellas and Raging Bull. Like, this is a guy you can't take your eyes off of. And they really they work just surprisingly well together. And how about the bit that we're kind of like, Bill is trying to talk the other bull into like not going with the other counsel, and he describes Vinny, right? It makes you kind of understand, like, this is a guy, he would show up, he would figure out the magician's trick before he do it, that kind of thing. Do you think they did a good job of setting up that Vinny actually would be a good lawyer, despite the way he dresses or the fact that it took him 6 times to pass the bar or whatever? Because I think they do, and that what makes it pay off so well when he succeeds, because it doesn't come out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's, and you can start to see him. Like, I love how they set it up with him. He's so bad at the beginning. Then once it gets into trial and he starts kind of like, asking questions, and, like with the instant grits thing, man, is it possible 5 minutes? Like, got in his face with that. And you're like, yeah, dude, this guy is awesome. And it was, and can we just take a second and just talk about how bad the public defender was? It was.
Well, hey, I mean, we'll get to that when we get to the court stuff. We're almost there, but I just wanted to kind of touch on the out of court, like, the impact he had to get ready. So the kind of work that they do outside makes it pay off, right? Even when you see him just kind of go interview the witnesses or whatever, right? And look at the dirty windows, that kind of thing. It's a well-written script. They put the work in, so it's not like he just comes out of somewhere at the last minute and just like magically saves the day or something. And I think that's what really makes the flick really work overall and holds it together, kind of elevates it above your kind of typical comedy or what have you. But I will say, when he's interviewing the witnesses, he does ask the one lady, how many different levels of thickness have you gone through? I don't know if you can ask that without buying him a drink first.
Thickness, dude.
And just the wardrobe here, we will talk about Vinny's very famous court get up when he's in court, but I just love his leather get up because Pesci looks so good in it, right? Not everyone can pull off like all that much black on black on black on black. Joe Pesci can. Did you see his sneakers? I think at one point he's got British Knights, and then at another point I think he's rocking some like Patrick Ewings.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's just be honest, with his black boots with the little silver on the back, those are fire, dude. Those are real nice boots, man.
And if you grew up in the 90s, you'll notice one very particular thing. He has his belt, and I think he takes the excess of the belt loop and like tucks it into the belt loop.
Yeah.
It's a belt tuck. That was a thing in the 90s. You tucked your belt. It was more
with the braided belts, I think, generally. But yeah, you could do it with other belts. And if I had to ask you fellas, under or over 10, how many different outfits does Mona Lisa wear in this movie? Under or over 10?
I'm gonna say under.
I'm going with the over, man.
14 I counted, and this was a pain to count. I think she rewears the red dress to court 2 or 3 times, but that's it. Other than that, she has a different outfit. So what I've determined, she either has magic luggage or she has Princess Vespa's luggage from Spaceballs, and this is what was actually in Princess Vespa's, the rest of that luggage. It was all of Mona Lisa's
matched luggage.
Mona Lisa's matched luggage.
Yeah.
Because she had a lot of clothes.
I don't think there was an industrial strength hair dryer. There had to have been. Look at her hairstyle too. That's another thing, man. Like,
it's always perfect, right?
Hair is awesome, dude.
Perfect. Yeah, just like, I mean,
well, it makes sense. Well, Vinny only has his leather outfit, right? Because she used all the rest of the luggage space, obviously. That's why he's only got the one joint. before we get to the courthouse, I just have to say, you know the meme of the guy like sitting at the fold-out table. He's got the change my mind sign or whatever. I'm gonna say change my mind. The scene at the cabin where Pesci's sitting on the porch and Mona Lisa's just pacing in her kind of like calling it the catsuit outfit. That's the best scene in the movie. We get the biological clock bit. And Pesci's rocking the Patrick Ewings we were talking about. They're bringing up maybe the marriage thing, and again the Marissa Tomei and the catsuit thing. That's the best scene in the flick. Change my mind.
Pesci seems like a hardcore pinky ring guy. Why did he not rocking a pinky ring?
He likes the rings, dude.
The pinky ring guy.
He's a ring guy generally. I'm not a ring guy myself. Do not like the rings. Maybe if I'm playing Sonic or dealing with fried onions. So, all right, you obviously agree with me. It's the best scene. It's awesome.
Before we move into the courthouse, anything else we want to touch on?
I will say that you mentioned it before. This has just been pointed out as one of the most accurate films when it comes to portraying legal whatnot. So it's been shown in law schools and everything. It's been kind of put out there as an example of how to film a courtroom movie. So Good Instincts by Jamie G. Esquire V. And if I had to ask you fellas, if there is one guy who's a huge comedian in the mid to late 80s, early 90s, that this movie was originally written for, who would you think it would be? Jamie G.
Early 90s, who do I think this would be?
A comedian who'd already starred in one of his own kind of solo features.
Bill Murray?
Soup, any idea here? Kind of an 80s, 90s comic who was maybe the original attached star to this one?
Yeah, I mean, think about the character Pesci plays in this movie. Think about an 80s, 90s, or late 80s, early 90s comic, and somebody who had their own movie already, man. And it can only be Andrew Dice Clay.
It was with Dice, man. He was originally supposed to be the guy here. He had the adventures of Ford Fairlane. And you get it, right? I mean, looking at Vinny dressed in the black and the leather, like, all right, the Dice thing,
yeah,
maybe if he had smoked the cigarettes or whatever, we're like, okay. They also considered Danny DeVito and John Lovitz. Danny DeVito, I could see. John Lovitz, not so much.
DeVito, I could see maybe. Lovett's probably not. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. No, because he wouldn't be able to do. Yeah, you got to have a.
Lovitz is not going to have that chemistry with Marissa Tomei. I don't think. And shout out John Lovitz.
But you know what? The Dice Man could, dude. It might even been.
The Dice Man might have. I could see him and Marissa Tomei together. I could kind of at least wear matching black leather outfits. I could definitely see that. Apparently, Jim Belushi turned this down at some point, and he regretted it. I guess
I know this. Marissa Tomei is a step or two above Zuzu Pedals. If anybody remembers Ford Fairlane, man. So.
Yeah, and probably batting down to the league. Although, no, in Mr. Destiny, I guess Jim Belushi's married to Renee Russo, so not so bad in that. Linda Hamilton maybe too in that one. Christopher Lloyd was considered for the judge. I guess I could have seen that working, but I like the judge here. That was fine. Could have had a Goodfellas reunion. They offered Mona Lisa a veto to Lorraine Bracco from Goodfellas, but that didn't happen. Also, Debbie Mazar, you might remember for a bunch of things. I always remember her from Entourage for some reason. And for Ralph Macchio's boy there, for Bill's boy Stan, Will Smith auditioned for that. Imagine if Will Smith had just kind of randomly been like the sixth lead in this movie or something like that. Would have been kind of crazy, right? And just two minor notes. The scene we talked about before where Pesci sleeps in jail, they actually filmed that scene the night after Joe Pesci won his Best Supporting Actor Award for Goodfellas. That was actually the morning after. They took a break on him to use the award slate, so they let him sleep in the jail.
Interesting.
And the judge, if he seems kind of familiar,
ironic.
You watch him wave at the end, it might seem like, do I know that guy? It's because the judge was the original Herman Munster. Yes, he does the Herman Munster wave at the end there. Very end of the movie.
Yes, good call, dude. Right on, man.
Why so tall? He's like 6'5", and Pesci's like 5'6". So they try not to put him. That's why they're sitting in most of the scenes. When you do get the one at the end when they're standing, it's like, yeah, dude, you forget Joe Pesci's not the tallest, which makes him so intimidating. If he was in Tekken or Mortal Kombat, his only weapon would be a phone, and he'd still be deadly.
He could probably do a
He could
pretty
have a
good
shine
from the
box.
balls. Yeah, I mean, you got the shine box.
He'd have to
Finish
go
him
get
with
it from his
you get
house,
your
but
fucking shine box.
he has one.
Finish it.
All right, dudes. Welcome to my church. Jamie G in a courthouse is like Roy Munson in a bowling alley. Sweeter than Yoo-Hoo. For what it's worth, outside of my own court appearances, I don't know that the legal process can be any more entertaining than it is in My Cousin Vinny. Am I right, dudes?
I'm pretty much. I mean, everybody here is just doing great. I love Lane Smith, the prosecutor guy. He's one of those classic that guys who's been in everything. I remember he was Harry White in the Lois and Clark, the Superman show back in the day. But just
Got
been in
the
a ton
great
of stuff.
Southern twang, like just really nails it.
And I'm an Eagles fan, so I always love that he's Mr. Trotter. Mr. Trotter, we have Jeremiah Trotter. No, we have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So I am especially a fan of Mr. Trotter. In the intro to him, because you get Vinny when he comes into court, right? He's not quite sure what to do, and he's just sitting on the table when he's supposed to, where he's supposed to be sitting as the lawyer. And Blade Smith walks up to him, he's like, "Where's your lawyer?" Like thinking that Vinny is the defendant or whatever. And so then he just tries to copy him, right? When he sits at his table, like dude takes out his briefcase, Vinny takes out his briefcase. Dude starts looking at papers, he starts looking at papers. Little stuff like that, right? I think that's what elevates this. In even just the little moments, there's always a gag, there's always something going on. And the supporting characters like that are just absolutely outstanding. Like the judge, right? Mentioned him being in the Munsters or whatever. He doesn't get a ton of scenes, but he is just perfect, right? Like the no nonsense, but just slightly amused. You know what I mean? Like you can tell throughout the trial, he starts to like Vinny a little more, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He plays that role perfectly, man. I mean, just like everybody in that movie, he killed it, dude. I couldn't really even imagine somebody else doing it. Has a certain, he just has it for that role, man. Yeah,
Spot on.
Yeah, and I mean everything about even when Vinny first meets him, right? And he keeps trying to say like the judge wants him to say guilty or not guilty, and he just keeps going and going. It's another one of the gags that the flick does where they just keep just taking it past like the point where like, wow, they really still doing this? And he's like, I don't even want to hear you clear your throat. And then that's the first time he gets contempt, setting off that runner.
Yeah.
It's again just very good writing. And let's be honest here, it's his first time in court, but you think Vinny had to know a little better than to wear that leather outfit, right?
Well, I could get past the whatever. I'd be like, whatever. I get your dress code or
If
whatever
he just
coming
wore
in.
a tie, I think even he might have gotten away with it.
Well, he had the thing though. He had a little thing, whatever
Well,
that's called.
he never actually had to go to court before.
Yeah,
he never had to go to court before. But you
But
think
he's
if
probably
he passed
seen
the bar
courtrooms
exam,
on TV, right? And the lawyers are always
probably-
wearing suits. That's all I'm saying, right? Like,
right? Yeah.
You should have at least known just to wear a tie, like maybe even if it's a clip on or something. I don't know. It's fine because I mean, the dude tells, all right, next time I see you in court, like you need to be wearing a jacket that's made out of cloth. Is leather technically a type of cloth? If you wanted to be technical about it, I'm not sure exactly where leather falls on that scale.
Maybe, I don't know, man. I think it's because it's made out of a fucking mammal or something, as opposed to something that
maybe.
grows
I don't know what
plant
the
or some
actual
shit. Maybe
where
it's
the
not.
line
Maybe
is.
cloth is something like that's made from like the cotton or the whatever, and then like something like leather is obviously not something that grows from the planet. So maybe there's a difference there. I'm not sure of the technicals. I don't even know if that's the thing. It might be. I mean, I don't know. Did the vegan people did they wear the leather and shit, or are they
They're probably in charge of declaring what's cloth or not. So I guess we will defer to them. But it's great because it sets up a multi-part joke with the wardrobe because he yells at him the first time, right? But he gets thrown into contempt for not just being concise with his words. Then he comes back the second time, and the judge is kind of real with him. But at the end, he's like, "I got to hold you contempt again for your clothes." And he's like, "You were serious about that the first time?
You were serious about that?
You were serious about that?" Just I don't know why that just absolutely broke me, and I just was dying laughing. And then, of course, the famous bit when the suit gets muddy and he's got to get the one from the secondhand store, the consignment store, or whatever it is. And just the slow reveal and the way he explains things, like, I know Your Honor doesn't like the leather, so it's either this or that. Just drop the mic, right? I mean,
that classic scene, dude. So funny. Not only does he look hilarious in that, but just the thing that everything that happened to lead up to that, and then yeah, like you said, with the reveal and it just played out, written perfectly and executed perfectly, man. I mean, it never gets old. It's funny every time I see it.
It's hilarious, and just the whole lead up to it too, where he's like, "I got 30 minutes to shower and get my suit and get to," and she's like, "I'll take care of the suit, you shower," and then it's like just closed for flu, dude, closed for flu.
The whole
At least
store
it
got the
wasn't like
flu.
closed for duck season or something.
Oh god, dude, that's awesome. And then the fact that comes back around again to the great writing here, comes back around where he has to explain himself in the court, and he just, whole store got the flu, whole store. Great,
That's pretty
great
good,
writing,
actually. Like, it better
super
if
fun.
it just been Gone Fishing. If they just left the old school Gone Fishing sign up, it's like, well, we tried with the old score. It just they left a Gone Fishing sign. So I don't know what to say.
Just
I guess
dude, that and like I love the anticipation too. Like everyone's tapping their fingers, the pencil, and then like he comes in late,
Great
and the
direction.
camera doesn't show him right away, and that's the cool thing about it.
Great direction.
Yeah,
They're
very
absolutely
well done.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it just occurred to me while we were doing this, like the light bulb went on, and our producer maybe help us out. But how similar is the outfit he wears to Austin Powers' main outfit? It's just his is blue. Just look at it with the weird like ruffles and everything like that. I bet you they're a lot closer than you think. I
I
wonder
think
if there's
Austin
any.
Powers got more ruffles for sure.
But I can feel like the inspiration came a little bit from this.
Yeah,
this Joe
his
Pesci
joint's
suit.
a little more Sigmund Freud if you put it in a caricature on a theater stage
Yeah,
or
he's got
something.
tails and everything.
Where,
Yeah,
where Austin Powers is definitely a little bit more ruffles and whatever the fucking blue, but yeah, I could say similar.
Yeah, ruffles and bridges. So it is what it is. And then you kind of have the, you alluded to earlier, the whole kind of subplot where Stan, Bill's boy kind of like loses faith and he gets a public defender. You have to give him credit after the opening statements, which again, Jimmy G is a lawyer. Tell me about this. You get the prosecutor, gives a very good, concise opening statement, and Vinny gets up and says, everything he just said is bullshit. Is that a good public defender? Like, I mean, I feel like that's a good defense, but it didn't
That's the
seem
best
like,
opening statement ever.
anyone
man.
was too impressed, especially after Vinny initially fell asleep during the initial, opening arguments because of the train whistle and whatnot.
Yeah, he didn't get off to the quickest starts here, but as we said, he does prove himself as the trial wears on. But I just love that they kind of played into he really doesn't know what he's doing. That was so funny, dude. And the fact that everything gets stricken from his opening records, other than thank you. So his opening remark was just thank you.
Thank you to the prosecution.
Whole opening statement, dude.
Thank you.
It was a great. Credit to Mr. Trotter. He gave a very good opening statement. After he gave it, I was like, oh, I'm ready to. I saw what happened. I know they didn't shoot the dude. I'm kind of ready to convict him. Vinny's got his first witness, and he has to prove himself. And he starts with Sammy Tipton. This is the dude making the grits, right? And he kind of like figures it out. But in the midst of all this, the timing of the grits, the no instant grits or whatever, we get the very infamous line where, Vinny asks about identifying the two Utes. And we get the exchange.
Is it possible the two Utes?
To what? What was that word?
What word?
To what?
What?
Did you say Utes?
Yeah, two Utes.
What is a Ute?
Oh, excuse me, Your Honor. Two youths.
This is the one that stuck with me the most over the years, is all the two Utes. I don't know why, but it's absolutely hysterical to me anytime. It's almost classic, I guess, almost iconic. The two Utes, we've used this joke many times before. Any thoughts on the two Utes before we get the rest of kind of Vinny lawyering?
It's definitely one of those well-known quotes from the movie, man, and it gets used over the years. It's been used here and there, and it's come around in my world every once in a while. The two Utes, or so the Utes. Somebody will say Utes, and now that I'm coming fresh off of this, I'm sure I'm gonna end up doing it here in the short future. It'll fall into play, and hopefully I'll be able to take advantage of it and utilize the Utes in my everyday life. But because that's what keeps things going. Little things make it funny and entertaining throughout the day. Anyway, no sidetracking. Yes, I remember that being one of the better scenes, or not the better scenes, but one of the major scenes and one of those most quotable things from the movie. So,
Yeah, it's great. I mean, come on, dude. And the fact that it's the judge is like, whom? He's
What?
you
Dude,
cannot
what?
figure out what the heck he's saying, and it's great. I love this dude. Pesci's, both Pesci. I'll say if I had to
Excuse
nitpick
me, the
anything,
two youths.
if I had to nitpick anything, Pesci and Tomei at times, their accents so put on to where it's like, wow, like even the most Brooklyn Bob doesn't even sound like that. But they lay it on thick, but it works and it doesn't get annoying because what they're doing so awesome and hilarious. So it works.
And honestly, it's cool how you see Vinny gain confidence through that first questioning because he's talking to the dude about the grits. And then he gets to the whole point where he's like, so, boiling water soaks into a grit faster in your kitchen than any place on earth. Like, so the laws of physics cease to exist on your stove. Were these magic grits? I mean, if you buy them from the same guy who sold Jackie's beanstalk beans, that's just very cool, right? To see Vinny kind of like getting his groove and you're like, oh yeah, this dude really can do this or whatever. And that sets up the whole idea that Sam's like, yeah, I want him. Like, yeah, I'm definitely entering the public defender. And it sets up again another pretty classic line. When Vinny's done, he's not like, I have no further questions. He's like, I got no more use for this guy.
Yeah, he's
Right. Done with this guy. Yeah, he
done
always
with this
says,
guy, too.
most of them he ends with something like that.
Yeah, he said that sets up kind of the runner. And I think it's cool how he debunks the witnesses, right? Like the next dude, his windows were all dirty. And he's just like, so, he can't even really identify anything except like basic shapes
See,
of
that's
the
the whole
windows.
ticket is he notices all this shit, whereas
Right,
if
that's
he
something
didn't
it's
do
good
that,
writing. You went around before and
yeah.
you get the idea that he's observant. He can pick up on this stuff and just trying to kind of put it all together. And then the lady with her glasses, dude, those are the thickest glasses just about I've ever seen. And this is one of the best gags for the judge.
Some of these ladies, man, they require a real thick one, dude.
She probably still drives, which is the scary part. I love that, Vinny takes the tape measure, goes all the way to the back of the fork, he holds up the two fingers. And the judge is like, please, the court, can you just let the record show that he's holding up two fingers? And he's like, God damn it, Judge. Can you not do that? And that's when you get one of the only ad-libs in the movie where Pesci's like, can Mrs. Lady and only Mrs. Riley answer me? And he puts up two fingers again. Just a great kind of like gotcha moment. You get the whole little subplot, I guess, like we mentioned before with the Vincent Gallo thing. I never really understood that, I guess, watching back. It's just because he said he had trial experience when he didn't. Are you even allowed to try like a capital murder case maybe as your first case? I never quite understood why he lied and didn't just say like, I'm new. But it worked out fine.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure how that works, but you got to start somewhere. I don't know if you start with a murder
right,
case.
he'd worked with wages plea bargains. If he'd never been to court,
right.
It wasn't that he
if
hadn't
you're a
passed
doctor,
the bar.
you go to school for 10, 20 years or whatever the fuck to be a doctor. Now you're a surgeon or whatever, and then you go in there and you're like, well, do I start right away with the surgery or do I
Someone's
work my
got
way
to be your
with
first surgery, right? At some point, you got to do your first, right?
Like,
you could, practice with someone in driver's ed, whatever. Eventually, you got to drive a car by yourself, kind of. So I didn't quite understand that, but it was fine. It set up just a little bit of. I think they just wanted some extra tension, maybe. I didn't give the judge a couple more scenes, something like that. And I like the scenes with Vinny and the judge in his chambers. And it kind of sets up the ticking clock at the end where he's like, well, unless you can win this case in 90 minutes or whatever. But then it turns out Mona Lisa called it the judge. Again, good writing. The judge he talked about inspired him to be a lawyer.
Judge Malloy.
Mona Lisa called him and he covered for him. So it would have all worked out anyways. And again, that also makes you believe that Mona Lisa really loves him. So very well written flick. I have to say that. It really, all the way around, everything about that works. Anything else before Mona Lisa gets on the witness stand here?
I just think that he's really in his groove here, and it's nice to see. And it's also nice to see him kind of try to get her back and just her refusal to do it, kind of leading up to that. It's just a ton of fun. And this is what I got at the beginning of this episode. They nail the courtroom scenes in this movie, which is not easy to do. They nail it, and they still include the humor. So that's well done.
It really is. And then, you get the little scene where, he's got 90 minutes to find a way to win the case. Mona Lisa shows up with the pictures. And of course, that becomes a thing. You get the one camera shot on the tire tracks. And you don't quite know what's happening. They do a good job kind of setting up the suspense. And then everything to get Mona Lisa on the stand is pretty great. You got to make the bailiff bring her in. The judge asks you two know each other. And he's like, she's my fiance. Well, that would certainly explain the hostility. Again, just nice deadpan humor. And then the whole bit where, Lane Smith, Mr. Trotter, the prosecutor, thinks he's going to be tricky. Like, oh, I got to make sure she's an expert witness. The trick question part, I mean, that's another, I think, very famous part of the movie. Anything else before, anything on that at all? Just the idea, especially too, let's be honest here. It's kind of attractive that a woman that looks like her can talk about cars like that. Whether or not she's just saying lines or whatever, I'm into it.
Anything, when she uses her intelligence, it's incredibly attractive and it's awesome. And she's got it all in this movie. It's really cool, really well done on her part.
With you on that, with the cars and shit, man. But me being who I am, if it were her and the topic wasn't cars, it was food, that would make it better for me.
Yeah, to each their own. But and I'm not even a car guy, but just the idea that she knows so much about something like that and so knowledgeable, that in itself I think is inherently super attractive. Like, whatever. It might just be Marissa Tomei. Maybe it is. But then you get, Pesci come.
Fucking Marissa Tomei.
And then, Vinny comes up there. He's got the pictures. And what I think is really cool is she initially doesn't know where he's going with this. And then it takes her a minute and you actually see the moment where it clicks when he shows her the picture, and then she gets it and then starts kind of working with him instead of being hostile. You're like, are you sure? I'm positive. Just that change in energy. It's just so well done. It's like a couple had a fight and they reconcile during life or death testimony. I don't know if I've ever quite seen something like it. It's definitely played a little bit for fun, but I think it was just really cool. And that's, I think literally won her an Oscar. And I'd say it's award-winning testimony.
That it is.
Yeah, top notch, dude. Absolutely. I mean, that's very, very upper level on every level. The writing, the acting, the just portrayal of everything it's supposed to be. Even the little things, it all falls into play, man. They're like there's.
And even if you look at the judge, he's just staring at her like everyone in the courtroom. It's just
even that too. Even his mannerisms and point of view and everything. That's the whole thing, dude. Like. And the prosecutor as well, I mean, the reactions out of everybody, like the whole shit's just played perfectly,
Oh yeah, we didn't really shout out Bruce McGill as the sheriff too much. He calls him back up. He was D-Day in Animal House famously. He's another one of that dude. Like, this movie is famous for casting a bunch of just great character actors. Love him when they bring him back on the stand. You're like, Vinny's got it all done. Not only did they, absolve his clients, they found the real killers. He did what OJ couldn't. Like, they actually went ahead and found the guys in the, the mint green Pontiac convertible instead of the Buick Skylark. And it was the Buick Skylark, Jamie G. Not the Buick Century, but it was a Buick. And that's the only nitpick is Marissa Tomei. I think she's legitimately laughing when she says Buick Skylark. It's the only time her accent drops in the whole movie. Then her regular voice, for some reason, she just laughs and says Buick Skylark without her Brooklyn accent and then picks it back up again. That's it. That's all
about the positive traction, man.
It really is. One wheel spins, the other one does nothing. And also, John, I feel like Rosie Perez probably took some hints from this with her White Men Can't Jump performance. Maybe I feel like they have.
She was more annoying.
Yeah, but also very smart.
Yeah, I don't think I can handle Rosie Perez all
with the
like
Jeopardy
that,
stuff and everything. Just throwing it out there, and then kind of anything on the ending.
Her accent was just more. It just didn't work as it was annoying. Whereas this really didn't get there from an annoyance standpoint. So
fair enough, but I think that's just how Rosie
another
Perez
one of those things that was almost, but not. Like, they were perfect with that almost, but not. Let's just
take it right into the edge or take it past it. So it's funny again. Just well done, well directed, well written, well edited. That's what puts it above. I think the average comedy. Anything I've got of the very happy ending. The other judge calls it in, you get all the handshakes or whatever, and then they drive off talking about marriage and whatnot, Bill and Stan are going back to college. It's definitely the super happy ending. Any complaints or anything like that?
No, I like that, dude, because I like a happy ending, man, and especially one that's
he earned it here, I think.
Legitimately played out. Yeah, exactly. So I think there's all around, even the way it wrapped up at the end, it's a solid movie. I don't want to say a perfect movie, but it's right there, man. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, really. I mean, nothing big, nothing. I mean, if you wanted to super nitpick, there's probably a couple. There always is. But this movie is on point from beginning to end and full circle, man. So
Yeah, and it kind of goes out the same way it came in. People driving in and out of the car,
Right.
driving out in the
Yeah.
car. Just again, just excellent screenplay. Just up and down,
Yeah.
really. All of my complaints are just of the extremely minor nature. So again, Jamie G, good job calling this one out. Not one I would have thought like, oh, there's so much to discuss there, but there is a lot to discuss there. And I mean, do you use a whole ice cream scoop for lard for 2 people breakfast? I don't know. Depends on the diner. Is it a good one or not?
Gotta love it, man. And before we start spinning wheels and handing out awards, anything else on My Cousin Vinny? I think we're pretty much there.
I think we're pretty much there. Apparently, Joe Pesci actually did an album at one point as Vinny Gambini, like a jazz album or
Nice.
something that exists.
Okay.
I
And I
gotta
don't know
look
if I would
that
have
up,
really
man.
wanted like a sequel.
I'm gonna-
but I
I'm gonna
wouldn't
check
mind like
that
a
out on
reality show
Spotify, dude.
style, like of their wedding, of like a Vinny and Mona Lisa's wedding, like a behind the scenes reality show, kind of like 90-minute special weird out thing. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
So you think you're sponge-worthy?
Yes, I think I'm sponge-worthy. I think I'm very sponge-worthy.
You know you're nuts with these sponges.
Run down your case for me again.
She said I wasn't sponge-worthy. Wouldn't waste a sponge on me.
In honor of Elaine Bennis, creator of the second greatest system of all time, we always determine if our featured review was sponge-worthy. Mills, update us on the sponge supply and tell us if you think My Cousin Vinny is in fact sponge-worthy for you.
All right, Jamie G, right now you have 5 sponges. I have 4. The soup has 1 in. Unlike Wayne and Garth, My Cousin Vinny is most definitely worthy. Jamie G, how about yourself?
Yeah, hard yeah. This is 100% sponge-worthy. Yeah, feel good about giving it a sponge.
Well, I mean, dude, I know I only got the one sponge left, but there's no. It's My Cousin Vinny, and it's definitely a sponge, man. If I could give it more than a sponge, I probably would. So I have to give up my sponge, or whatever.
He's setting up a recurring sponge purchase on Amazon. That's what he's doing. He's subscribing and saving 10% or whatever.
I'm gonna be desperate for sponges, dude. I'm giving up my last sponge here right now, so I'm gonna be down to 0 sponges. So if you find me out back behind the King of Donair, with a cowboy hat on, like hooking for sponges.
That is low-key the best part of that, when Elaine is like, give me a dozen, give me 2 dozen, give me 3 dozen. Did you say you had 2 cases? Just the escalation of her buying all the sponges is part of the best part of it. So that's officially a sponge-worthy on My Cousin Vinny. Jamie G, good pick. You have a worthy pick.
Well, you know what? I am glad of that. And we're going to finish up our discussion of My Cousin Vinny with our grades. On a scale of 0 to 100 space bucks are the official currency of regular dudes watch stuff. Soup, give it some space bucks to My Cousin Vinny. How much you throwing at it?
Space bucks? 1 million space bucks, dude, for My Cousin Vinny. No, what was it? There was a max.
It is 1 to 100. So we appreciate the
0 to 100.
We appreciate the
Sorry,
enthusiasm.
I got caught up in the quotes. Yeah, somebody
Fair
needs a
enough.
jam. All right. I'm gonna give this thing a solid 99 space bucks out of 100, man.
Ooh,
There's nothing wrong with it. It's good.
99 space bucks.
So
Hey, you're pretty
it's one
free
of
with
those
your
you can
space
throw
bucks.
on whenever, or you can pay attention to, or you can do both. Or it's a good all around movie. The longevity is good. It's from the early 90s or whatever, mid 90s. It still holds up. Yeah, like I said, man, it's can't complain about it. So 99.
Jamie G, how about yourself? Soup just gave 99 space bucks to your nominee.
It's fantastic. I love it. I'm in the universe. I'm gonna give it 95 space bucks. It's freaking awesome. Nothing wrong with My Cousin Vinny, dude. Like, this is a great one.
I am also in the universe. I'm going to go with flat 90 space bucks. Definitely enjoying it. I'm trying to leave myself a little room to grow. I don't know if it's quite the best, but it is very good. Better than I remembered it. Better than I thought it was going to be. So 90 space bucks to My Cousin Vineyard.
Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3.
3 questions. What have you got a question wrong?
Then you are cast into the gorge of eternal peril.
Ask me the questions. I am not afraid.
And we shall watch and pray.
Before we decide what to watch for our next episode, we need to replenish the sponge supply. Soup, you're out of them. You got to replenish it here with the questions 3.
All right. This is the questions 3, and here's the deal. This week, the Soup has written questions for JVG and myself. You get 1 point for a right answer. Most points wins. In the event of a tie, we have a tiebreaker question. Winner gets 1/2 of the sponge, while the Soup gets a half a sponge for writing the questions. Gentlemen, if you wish to cross the bridge of death, you must answer the questions 3. Soup, ask some questions to the Jamie G.
Jamie G, got you on question number 1 here. I think you're going to enjoy this one, man, but it's going to be detailed, man. So pay attention the whole way through here, man, all right? Actor Richard Brake has played several evil-type villain characters, known for roles in several Rob Zombie movies and many others as well. For example, his very impressive and extensive opening monologue in the movie 31. In contrast to all that, which very well known evil character did Richard Brake play where he did not speak a single word?
Oh, dude, Dick Brake. You know I love Dick Brake. It's the incident. The incident.
You're going with, what is it?
The incident. I thought it was situation, but it's actually the incident. I don't think he speaks the entire movie, and he's very, very bad in that movie, dude.
Heard. Okay, the incident. Moving on.
In Happy Gilmore, the orderly played by Ben Stiller is selling quilts that he is forcing the old people to sew. How much is he asking for each individual quilt here for these handmade quality stuff? What's the go here?
Dude, that's so specific. I have no idea. I'm gonna say $50.
$50. We go with $50 a piece for these handmade quality quilts, dude. All right, sick. Now, question number 3. Trey Anastasio's real first name is Ernest. What is his middle name?
Joseph the Third.
Joseph the Third.
Ernie Joseph Anastasia the Third.
All right.
I think that's it.
And those are all 3, man. Those are all 3. So moving on to Magnum Mills. What have we got here? We'll start off with a Seinfeld question, man. You know, let's dive right into some Seinfeld trivia, man. Who did Kramer accidentally punch at a baseball fantasy camp? Was it A, Mickey Mantle, B, Joe DiMaggio, or C, Keith Hernandez?
Mickey Mantle was my first instinct, so I'm going Mickey Mantle.
Going Mickey Mantle, A on that one. All right. Question 2. In which movie did Bill Murray play a character that had a conversation with President Nixon in the bathroom while the president was struggling to take a piss?
They're great questions, Sue.
Where the Buffalo roam?
Goes with Where the Buffalo roam. Philly is known for a few things other than cheesesteaks as far as food goes, man. One being a breakfast meat consisting of a mixture of less than prime cuts of pork, spices, and cornmeal, was first introduced to the region by Pennsylvania Dutch immigrants. What is this popular breakfast meat called?
Yeah, to paraphrase Scrappy Doo, I am going to go with Scrapple. And I had a roommate in college who loved the Scrapple, so I'm going with Scrapple.
We'll go back to Jamie G's questions. The first question, your answer. The question was who played who Richard Brake played as an evil character that didn't say any words. I'm not going to go through the whole question again. Your answer was, what was your answer again? Because I forgot to write it down.
The Incident.
The Incident. Your answer was The Incident. That answer was incorrect. It was The Night King, where he starred as the Night King in Game of Thrones in seasons 4 and 5.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Wow.
Your answer for question number 2 was $50 for the going rate with the handmade quality stuff over there that Ben Stiller's orderly character was selling at the joint over there. Anyway, the answer was $200 each, man. $200 each for these quilts, dude. So that was incorrect as well. Now, the answer for number 3 is kind of up in the air. Joseph is not what it is. Depends on the translation here, because the real name of Ernest Anastasio's middle name, Trey Anastasio's middle name is Giuseppe. Now, I don't know if that translates to English as Joseph or not, and I didn't bother to dive that deep into it, but Giuseppe with a G-U-I-S, whatever, and it is the third, but it is Giuseppe, not Joseph, as far as I know. So I have to count you wrong. Unless you can prove that one wrong, I'm going to count you wrong.
I think I can prove that wrong. It's Joseph for sure, but it's okay.
Interesting.
Oh man, that's
all right.
Seems like a trick question, dude. I'm not happy with that at all. I think that's kind of bullshit, but okay.
Let's go to Mills's answers, man. First question was the Seinfeld question, man. Who did Kramer punch one time accidentally at a fantasy baseball camp? It could have been Joe DiMaggio. It could have been Keith Hernandez. It could have been Mickey Mantle. You went with Mickey Mantle, and you were correct on that one, man. I didn't think I'd be able to stump you on a Seinfeld question either, but I thought I had a good one where I might have, especially putting in a multiple choice category or format, you know. So
Joe DiMaggio dunks, right? Did we see Joe DiMaggio dunking his donuts? Was that where the Joe DiMaggio came from? And then Keith Hernandez is in the friend. I think all three were in Seinfeld in one way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But all right, so anyway, going on to question 2 for Mills here was a Bill Murray question, man, and he's been in a lot of movies or whatever. But the question was, which character did he play that had a conversation with the President Nixon in the bathroom there? Your answer was Where the Buffalo Roam. That answer is correct, where he portrayed Hunter Thompson. One of the only, I think, 2 people only did ever play him in a role, but did an excellent job.
Yeah, that was the one before Johnny Depp did it. Yeah, that's I thought that was Hunter Thompson just because I know he had such a specific beef against Richard Nixon. So I didn't specifically remember that scene. That's why I did not think you were gonna get this one, man. I thought maybe on the first one, but I didn't think you'd get this one at all. So congrats on that. That's what she said.
But, and then 3, I didn't think I'd be able to stump you on a Philly one, and I didn't. You were right about Scrapple. So I'll try harder next time, but I'm gonna get you on these Philly foods, or at least something one of these days.
Well, all good, because then at least there's no contested things. Even if Jamie G got 2 out of 3 right, I still got all 3 right. So there is no contest then, at least. So give Jamie G the full 2 points, and I still get there with the 3.
Well, it's time to figure out what we're going to watch next time. We've got a whole process that we go through, and it starts with spinning a giant wheel to determine the category that we're going to pitch from. Mills, go ahead and spin the wheel for us.
Spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel. Well, this is pretty much right up our alley. 1980s wild card. So any movie released in the 1980s that we haven't done or you haven't pitched already.
Holy shit.
They can basically be almost anything. I mean, that's in our wheelhouse. It feels like that's about 50% of our stuff right there anyway. So
nice. Okay.
We're trying to get to a movie.
You better get going. You don't want to miss 1 second of that movie. Is it that good? It's the best goddamn movie I've ever seen in my life. Dude hangs dumb.
I
missed that.
Here's how it works. We're all pitching one thing to watch, and we get 1 vote. You can't vote for your own pitch. If there's a tie, then it's up to the big old wheel in the sky. Mills, you're up first here, followed by the Soup Deucer. but we're saving the best, certainly the best, for the last. That's myself, Jamie G. Esquire, the Fence.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. We had an 80s wild card. My wild card on the wheel was Eddie Murphy. I really thought that, after thinking about 48 hours, I really thought it was going to be a Beverly Hills Cop thing. But I'm going to switch it up because it is that time of year. The other sports are ending. It is baseball season. So I'm going to throw Major League out there. This is just such a fantastic sports movie. It kind of invented the idea of tanking, before it was even really a thing. Just a phenomenal cast all the way through. Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, Wesley Snipes, Corbin Burnson, a lot of great people in this one. Dennis Haysbert, just fantastic. It's funny, it's sports, fits this time of year. It was made in the 80s. I would love to talk about Major League, maybe do a wild thing. Soup, what do you got? I'm pitching Major League. Beat that.
That's a tough one to beat, man. That's a tough one to beat. I'm gonna go completely fucking different right here, man. And you guys will probably understand, or anyway, whatever, man. I'm gonna go into a different kind of '80s realm right here, man. It's something we haven't done before, and this is why I think this might be cool, man. So I pinpointed, I narrowed it down to a few in this genre, but I'm gonna ultimately decide on The Labyrinth. The Labyrinth with David Bowie, Jennifer Connelly, Jim Henson joint. Like, let's dive into the 80s fantasy, man. It could have been the Never Ending Story, it could have been this or that, but I decided in my head, Labyrinth is the way to go. Great soundtrack, great story. Like I said, Jim Henson in the mix, man, with characters, the puppets that only he can really do. It's that world. This was a great one growing up in the 80s. I mean,
it was.
and it's Bowie and Jennifer Connelly, man. Like, I mean, this is a great movie, good story, very, very out there, trippy Alice in Wonderland-esque kind of flick, man. And it's good all around, man. So I think it'd be fun to talk about, fun to bring up, and fun to maybe rehash some of these childhood memories with the 80s fantasy, man.
Good pitch, dude. I like that. I thought you were going Never Ending Story, and this was way better than that. So
it was there. I was right there.
I think good pivot. I think good pivot. If you pivoted off of Never Ending Story, not that Never Ending Story is bad, but I think Labyrinth way more interesting to talk about. Jamie G, Major League, Labyrinth are on the table. You're running anchor here, brother. Beat that.
Yeah, these are tough to beat, and I gotta just say, I'm so excited to do 80s. You guys know I'm a fan. I'm going to try to do my best here. And I'm also going to keep it with something super nostalgic, something we all grew up with. I would like to maybe make it a thing where we do all of them. There's more than one, but I'm going to July 3rd, 1985. And we'll get there, and then we'll go back. I'm talking about Back to the Future. I want to see Marty McFly. I want to see Doc Brown. I want to see the DeLorean. I want to see Marty going back and seeing his parents. The whole thing. Give it to me. Back to the Future.
Ooh, that was definitely a heater. One of my favorite flicks of all time. Jamie G, Back to the Future. Sue pitched Labyrinth. I pitched Major League.
Damn, dude, I want to do all three. Can we just do all three of these? Our next three episodes? Like, this is like, all these are so good, man. Wow.
It says the guy who needed a week off for a poker emergency.
Hey, sure, you down for a hat trick there, dude?
Be a long
I would like to do all three of these movies. That's all I'm going to say.
You scoring a hattie over
here. We need a
here.
corporate weekend. We need to to expense this. Who's putting their Amex? So
we do need a corporate retreat for this. We
or at least an
absolutely
intern.
do. It's true. Well, I guess, where are we? I've gone off the rails here, dreaming about doing all three of these. Now it is time to vote. We do so in the reverse order of what we pitch. So that means I, Jimmy G. Esquire the fifth, am up first, followed by the Soup Deucer. And then it's after Mills to potentially be the decider. Oh man, this is so hard, dude. I love both these movies. I'm gonna. God, this is coin flip, man. I'm gonna go Major League, but I love Labyrinth and would love to do Labyrinth at some time because that's awesome. Love it, but I am gonna go Major League here.
Soup, you are up.
This is an incredibly difficult decision here, man.
That's where I was. I was like, this is so great
That's the
soundtracks in
idea.
all
It's
three of
supposed to
these
be
too.
tough. You know, we don't want to ideally send it to the wheel, but you understand how it can happen.
Yeah. You know, this is a coin flip for me, and right now in my head, I'm gonna flip a coin. I gotta go Major League, dude. Why the fuck not? Let's just do it, dude. There's nothing wrong with it. Come on, man. Last time
so we're doing Major League, but in my head, I was pretty much like, all right, if you went Back to the Future, I was gonna go Back to the Future. So
it's hard not to go Back to the Future on this. There's so many good things.
Good pitches, and even Labyrinth. Well, I
went to the wheel last time this happened
I think
to
it would
me,
be super cool to check out because that's definitely something. Well, even just the soundtrack you might talk about for a while, right? So,
dude, yeah.
Trying to do. Everyone threw out some heaters. They would all be fun to talk about. I think now this gives me a backdoor to someday pitch Major League 2 when we do our bad sequels thing or something. Much the way that Jamie G has been pitching Escape from LA after Escape from New York. So I'm trying to get in on that trade.
And I can arguably pitch Caddyshack 2, man, because I like Caddyshack 2.
Oh, dude, I feel like that just makes me feel bad for Dan Aykroyd. I never felt so bad for somebody who's watching Dan Aykroyd and Jackie Mason. I mean, at least Chevy Chase, he got like $1 million to film like 2 scenes or something ridiculous. But almost everybody else involved with Caddyshack, I just legitimately feel bad. Caddyshack 2, excuse me. I just feel bad for. But you will feel bad watching Major League. It is so much fun, and it kind of invented a whole genre of sports movies. You know what I mean? That there were underdog movies, but this was a very specific underdog thing. And just everybody in it is fantastic. I mean, Up Your Butt, Joe Boo. There's so many just small things. Hats for bats, keep bats warm. There's just so many little things like we like about My Cousin Vinny. It's just extremely well written. It's a pretty well done sports movie for its time. Charlie Sheen doing the wild thing and just the.
It's great.
I don't think there will be disappointment in this one. It's that time of the year, It's the May days. It's baseball season. It's hot and heavy. Before we'll be looking forward to football again. Give baseball its one time to shine. I think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Of course, I would have loved to done Labyrinth or Back to the Future. I think
funny.
those
I
are
almost
worthy.
picked Back to the Future too. As weird as it was, instead of doing one, I thought I would have a better chance of pitching 2 for some reason. I think maybe because
I like 2 on it. 2's my favorite of all of them, but yeah.
Well, I only did 1 because I thought then we could just do all of them. But
I would be down for
maybe
that Indiana Jones you mentioned before. Yeah, I'm down to do a trilogy. It only took us 2 years to do, season 11 of Sunny, so I'm sure we can wrap up a trilogy of movies in a solid 18 months.
Yes.
It's all
about that solid 18. Holes of golf.
Thank you for checking out Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. You too, Utes. If you have any thoughts, any feedback, we'd love to hear it. Let us know. Drop a comment here, or baby, just get in them DMs. Get in there. Give me a reason to respond. Mills, remind everyone where they can find us.
Trying to do like a baby come back, but like a baby slide in right into my cool DMs. I don't really have it, but I was trying. And thank you for trying out this episode of Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. You can find us wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. Find us on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Same place on the internet, dudeswatchstuff.com. We keep it easy to remember. A, B, C, D, E. All the rest of the letters. Next one's F. That makes the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. All we ask is if you had fun, click the thumb. And even if you didn't, click the thumb. And even if you just stumbled on this by accident, click the thumb. Said it 3 times. You're going to do it. That's how it works. I'm Magnum Mills. He's Jamie G. That's a soup deucer. Thank you for checking us out.
We are dudes, and we abide. And always, if you have the choice between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, doesn't matter, because we're bringing breakfast, lunch, and dinner every time, man. So you can have your option of whatever the fuck you want when you're watching us Regular Dudes. Abide, dudes.
Well, he was a New York attorney about to take a southern journey into places that he'd never been. She was a brunette out of Brooklyn, fast talking